All set to go, Mr. Salinas.
Okay, here we are. Welcome everyone to the final event of the Diversity and Culture Festival, the Multicultural Week that we have been celebrating with Oxnard College. My name is Gigi Fumaroto, and I'm very excited to make a few announcements before we get started with the Poetry Slam finale. So today we will find out the winners of our Poetry Slam. Students from Ventura College submitted poetry, and it will be a judged event with first, second, and third place prizes. But before we begin, we want to announce another student contest winner. Every year, our Diversity and Culture Festival holds a student art contest in order to obtain a graphic that will be used at the next year's events. You'll see behind me, we have student art that won last year by Sarah Esparza. And so now we will announce the winner for next year's graphic. And I'm going to introduce Professor Jen Chi Wu from the art department, specifically ceramics professor. Hi, Jen-Chi.
Hi, thanks for having me. My name is Jen-Chi Wu, and I teach ceramic and sculpture at the Ventura College. In the past few years, Ventura College Art Department has collaborated with the Cultural Diversity Committee to create an art poster contest for VC art students. The winner will be picked by the art department discipline faculty and award the winner's $200 scholarship from Cultural Diversity Committee. Before I announce the winner for 2020 art contest, I would like to thank Sarah Esparza, who was the winner of 2021. Her beautiful artwork was chosen and used extensively this year event. Thank you, Sarah. Keep up the good work. You guys see all the work right here. Now, the winner of the 2020 Cultural Diversity poster is Dramaal, Julianne Dilla Cruz. Here is the beautiful image, and thank you for your hard work, Julianne, and keep creating.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen-Chi, and thank you, Julianne. It's certainly a beautiful piece, and I hope you enjoy seeing it next year as we use it on all our promotional items. And it's really, I think, a special tradition we have to include student art in our festival. Thank you very much. I'm going to say thank you once again. It's nice to see you. And I'm going to hand it over now to the written work that we have from students and hand it over to Professor Fernando Salinas. Fernando Salinas has been assisting in the VC Poetry Slam since the Diversity and Culture Festival began in 2016. He is a professor of English, and most importantly, he is a local esteemed poet. So I'll send it over to you, Fernando, and thank you for all your hard work and all the mentorship you have given our students this year and every year. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, very excited to have this portion of the event. It's been several months of working up to this, several students working very diligently. We've provided poetry workshops with Matt Sedillo, who you'll hear soon. Of course, because of the pandemic, we couldn't be on the stage and have a live event, but, or shall I say, however, we were able to have students submit their work, pre-recorded work, and then it was judged from there. And this year, the judges for the competition included Luz Maria Espanosa, our current Ventura County Poet Laureate. We also had Angelina Leaños, our current 2021 Youth Poet Laureate. We also had Genesis Perez, our Poet Laureate, Youth Poet Laureate Emeritus. And we had Mo Gonzalez. Let me tell you a little bit more about Mo Gonzalez. So they are a community organizer, a poet, a youth educator, and the founder of the Get Loud movement. We also had, let's see, who have I not mentioned? Anthony Marenko, the Mary B. Perry High School Ventura Youth Correctional Facility College and Transition Education Coordinator. Let's see, did I get every 1, 2, 3, 4? Who did I miss? I didn't miss anybody. Ah, there you go. Those were our judges. There's Anthony there. So these were the judges who had the huge responsibility of reviewing the submissions, and they selected 3 finalists. So what I'd like to do now is introduce those 3 finalists. They will be performing their original work. When we finish up there, I'll be doing a piece, and then I'll introduce you to Matt Sedillo. So first up on this, in the order of the people that were considered finalists, we're going to have Brandon perform his poem. I hope you're there, Brandon. Take it away when you're ready.
Hello, everyone. I'm Brandon, and I'm going to be performing a poem called Kung Flu. Hope y'all enjoy. All right. My parents' roots were planted in the Philippines, but took that one-way jeepney to the American dream. A dream that requires luck, looks, and labor, most times in excess to work in favor of the dinero to turn pesos into dollars and dollars into cents. But these cents don't make sense if my descent is reason for you to invalidate my existence. So if you're Asian, please raise your hand, point your index finger, and push it against your lips like a surgical mask, because silence is your fortune given here in America. A fortune printed in the back of our minds like the origins tagged on the back of our shirts reading made in China, trying to keep up with all the cultural norms and trends to finally become a true American. But even then, we will always be Asian inside, no matter how much whitening soap and accents we used to hide from the fear of upsetting our peers, appearing in a matter manipulated by manifest destiny, destined that we be silent but deadly. And it wasn't a figure of speech. We figured that out like a math problem on the SAT, but I don't take a stereotype that calculated 150% increase of anti-Asian bigotry. Nor does it take a stereotype that kick racism in the ass. You don't got to enter the dragon to spit fire with spitting facts. See, I'm the quiet kid in class who never put up his hand, but not afraid to take a stand when shit hits the fan. All of this to reassure you that we are humans too. When Bruce Lee said to be like water, he didn't mean that we are the source which quenches your thirst for ridicule, sex, and violence. We are not a commodity. We are not a virus. Take a look into my iris and I'll rest my case once you see our perspectives treated as Asians in America and not Asian Americans. Granted, our struggles are only as loud as the voices we give them. So let me break down this kung fu for thought. The term kung flu its way into the States, stating that Asian Americans can catch the blame for this COVID cases. Sir, with a side of Asian hatred on your Panda Express plate, conflicted between choosing teriyaki or terrorism, terrified by the shape of our eyes in the future we're shaping. With these nimble hands, capable of holding more than just calculators and chopsticks, calloused from the bootstraps America pleaded with lift. In an attempt to put other minorities down, photoshopping us as models when we were equally frowned upon arrival. Since the landing of our fam in the US, survival of the fittest, finessing traditions, giving us no decision but to adapt to America's vision. Via assimilation, aka assisted suicidal culture. What do I know less about the slaves and more about the owners? Why do I know less about my people and more about the colonizers? Why do I know less about unity and more about the dividers between American and American? Even if I had my accent and native tongue, my ethnic looks still speak louder to the biases tucked away comfortably in Jim Crow's white linen sheets. Even if I was born right here in Cali, calligraphy on my name printed on my birth certificate, yet still managed to be asked the same damn question. Where are you really from? And sometimes this is asked out of pure innocence, but it's hard to see the curiosity within this inquiry when it's been used passive aggressively to imply you don't belong here. And I mean, it's not like we cook the food you love ordering on a weekly basis. It's not like we built the railroad that gets you from place to place. And it's not like we swear our ass off to make the shoes that you race in. It's not like we provide the best fucking healthcare in the nation. It's not like we live in a land of free and opportunity, but results may vary depending on your ethnicity. See, I wrote all of this to say that we are not your prey. So go ahead and keep calling us names like Dog Eater, Bruce Lee, Ling Ling, and COVID-19, but the real virus is the bullshit ideology stinking up our country with remnants of white supremacy. You're the 0.01% sanitizers have trouble disinfecting, so clean up your app, boy. That's all.
Damn, Brandon. No, where are you really from? What galaxy are you really from? I haven't heard somebody spit like that in a long time. That's 2 in a row. You're not a one-hit wonder. Don't disappear on us. Don't take the title and disappear if that happens. I just don't disappear, man. You're phenomenal. You just proved it to me right now. Like, I wasn't sure, but now I'm sure.
Thank
Well
you.
done. Go ahead and virtually drop the mic for us, please. All right. Sorry, should I not have put my 2 cents in there? Either way, you got my 2 cents. Here we go. All right, so next up, we have our second finalist, Vincent.
Hello. All right. So this is what the garden grows. This garden is deadly. The fields are overgrown with weeds and spikes that prick anybody that dares to enter this section, this area, this garden. This garden has so much white man snort, bigotry, curse and slur, raid after raid, chanting, screaming, white is supreme. It is hard to hear on our ears. It is like someone scratching glass panels to sharpen their nails, hoping to make someone's ears bleed like the roses. The roses here are not red. They are stained with the bloods of grandpas and grandmas, mothers walking with daughters, fathers who struggle to make ends meet, and the sons who go and get help but never return, assaulted by the senseless attitude of those in power, trying to do what they believe is right. Because if it ain't white, it's not right. The struggle I've been taught since day one of my English class, invisible man screaming, trying to find a place in society. Does this mean I was born? Am I invisible? Because I've been told, we've been told that our love is like chewed up gum stuck to the bottom of a shoe. They say that, but for us, our love is the tone from our skin that illuminates from us. It is the tongue that we have that allows us to communicate with each other. It's what makes us believe that somewhere, somehow, things will get better. But to them, it's easier to guide anyone through the dark because they're not questioning anything. Because we were told you are a clown for believing in conspiracy. We are told it is the right way to do what they tell us. By anyone higher in the structure than us, in the social economic structure that has us on the bottom. Why? Oh, because you want your name engraved in stone, a page with a sentence and a picture in a history book that many teens will overlook, thinking, why did they leave this for us? They will question it every time, every generation. Why? And they will look back and tell us, it was our fault, but they will not look back and realize we tried. In this garden, we cannot let it live into its potential. And this fight, this struggle, this potential will continue with them. So please take care of our garden, your flowers, your daisies. This is what the garden grows.
Well done. Beautiful work, Vincent. Feel your passion. I have to tell you all that I'm out here in Inyo Elementary School in Lone Pine, and I've been showing your work to the students here, and you know, it's all subjective. Everybody loves poetry in a different way, but you're definitely appreciated. Definitely appreciated. Next up, we have Tawan, our last finalist.
Sorry, we're trying to get the video started.
Totally okay.
It won't.
Yeah.
It says the host has stopped the video.
It says the host has stopped the video.
Give me 1 second then. There we
Okay, there we go.
go.
You ready? The poem that I wrote is called My Life, or My Life Story, or True Story. I done lost some people to this lifestyle, and I'm doing time in a box like an Apple Watch right now. I done lost some people to this lifestyle, yeah. And I'm doing time in a box like an Apple Watch right now. Don't get institutionalized by them other guys on the other side telling all them lies. Cause you gotta think smarter and move a little harder if you wanna ball hard in this game, Vince Carter. This my real life story, so come explore it. Take them boots off, I know you feeling like you Dora. Can't swim with the ducks, with the eagles, I've been soaring. Your life is not important when your lawyer is appointed, yeah. All the money you will cry really don't mean shh. When you locked in bricks, put a rollie on the wrist for the time I spend, yeah, with handcuffs on wrist. That's why I'ma be shining for them days I was fucked up and I'm plotting on that Cullinan truck. Cause it come with an umbrella block the envy that these people trying to send me, and it's everywhere, so I'll call it ubiquity. Accumulate some equity off the property I'm be owning, but I'm my greatest asset at this moment. The diamond in the rough, yeah, I'm chosen. Greatest thing to come up out of low income home, and I done lost some people to this lifestyle, yeah. And I'm doing time in a box like an Apple Watch right now. I done lost some people to this lifestyle, yeah. And I'm doing time in a box like an Apple Watch right now. I didn't have nothing, I was born up in poverty. Now that I'm going to college, no more robberies, and I'm going to live my life, ain't nothing stopping me. Yeah, it's a poem, but it's the pain that's inside of me. I feel like Tupac, cause I rose from the concrete. I'm my greatest enemy, the only that can stop me. 7,424 days God been watching me. I gotta make it happen for my family. I was lost, now found like I'm Dory. This that color boy story. Gotta take the diss off of courage and keep going, even though the road might get lonely. I knew my right from wrongs, but as a kid, I had to learn it on my own. Used to use a sidekick, now it's collect for the phone. Success, I can taste it, I can feel it in my bones, even though I'm locked down. In the set right in this poem, yeah, yeah. Even though I'm locked down in the set right in this poem, I done lost some people to this lifestyle, yeah. And I'm doing time in a box like an Apple Watch right now. I done lost some people to this lifestyle, yeah. And I'm doing time in a box like an Apple Watch right now. Yeah, yeah, True story.
Tawan, it's been a long time since a poem made me cry.
Oh yeah, I love it. That's what I was going for. That's what I was trying to target. Honestly, it's just a true story. So I had to put all the rawness in there, you know. And then it was a half a poem at first when I had submitted it. So therefore I took like 2 days just to make the second verse. But I was thinking like too hard, but I'm like, I'm gonna just put my life on the page instead of trying to pretend and put something else that's on the page that's really not me. So I just poured it out and it came natural. So it's a poem. You can take it for what you want to take it as, but for sure it's a poem. It's my life story.
Thank you, Tawan. I want to tell you, I have to give a ton of credit to Bob Heist out here at Loinio, and he allowed me to show the work. And you've got students out here singing your verses. You've got kids walking around saying, "I done lost some people, and I'm spending time in a box like an Apple Watch." Okay, I mean, phenomenal. My heart is broken, and I'm also thoroughly inspired and appreciate knowing you. Thank you.
It's appreciated. Thank you for your time.
So one of the things that happened, and the reason why I'm jumping in on this one, is because my students thought that they were going to beat me in a poetry slam. So they challenged me to drop a piece for this event. This one's been touching my heart. This story's been touching my heart, so here we go. It's called East Silver Spring Elementary School. And if you're wondering when I'm going to announce the winners, as soon as I finish this. Nobody's saying nothing about the white lady that let the 5-year-old boy wander off campus. Tells the cops the cars don't stop at the crosswalk. She watches them cross. Says it's not the first time she's watched him wander off. So the two officers terrorize the black boy, call him a little beast, tell the 5-year-old he should be beat 9 times before he gets home. Officer tells the scared little 5-year-old black boy she's gonna ask his mama if she could do the beating. Officer tells the scared little crying 5-year-old black boy, nobody wants to hear you cry. Nobody's even listening. And the police officer reminds him, this ain't your world, little 5-year-old, little black boy, little beast. And nobody's saying nothing about the white lady that let the 5-year-old boy wander off campus. Tells the cops the cars don't stop at the crosswalk. She watched him cross. Says it's not the first time she's watched him wander off. Officer smiles at the white lady and says, this is why parents should beat their kids. Then grabs the scared little crying 5-year-old black boy by the shoulder, slams the scared little crying 5-year-old black boy into the chair. And this police officer that's bigger than any county fair prize winning pig starts screaming in his face. And it's taking everything for this police officer to keep from beating the scared little crying 5-year-old black boy. Oh my God, I'd beat him so bad, making smacking sounds, punching her fist into her palm, shouts in his face again so loudly, other teachers leave their classroom to see what's going on. Police officer says they should put the little beast in a crate, says she wonders how someone so small could act like this. And once the body cam is off, the scared little crying 5-year-old black boy screams louder than she did. And the white lady is blaming it on the mom. And the police officer is blaming it on the mom, calls the scared crying little 5-year-old black boy a shepherd for the devil, warns the scared little crying 5-year-old black boy, when you get older, when you want to make decisions for yourself, you know what's going to be your best friend? The police officer puts handcuffs on the scared little crying 5-year-old black boy's wrists. And when the mother walks in the room, she takes the scared little crying 5-year-old black boy's shirt off to show that the boy is not being physically abused. And the police officer says, that's the problem. And the white lady says, that's the problem. The police officer teaches the mother how to beat her son, but the mother tells him that she doesn't want to. Yet the police officer insists, says, just don't use a weapon. Put your knee on his neck if you need to. Nah, he didn't say that. That was another police officer trying to teach a black man begging for his mother a lesson. Just don't leave any scars. Just don't have any witnesses. Make sure his hands are up and his back is to you before you shoot. Make sure you got a badge like this on. Nope, I got it wrong again. That was another police officer disciplining a scared black boy wandering down the street. And nobody's saying nothing about the white lady that let the scared little crying 5-year-old black boy wander off campus. Told the cops the cars don't stop, where she watches him cross the crosswalk. Says it's not the first time she's watched him wander off that way. Nobody's saying nothing, because how could she have done anything wrong? She's always white. All right, it's time for me to announce the order of the winners. And remember, it's hard to be a slam judge. Coming in third, we have Tawan. Tawan will be winning, or he has won, $100 prize. In second, we have Vincent, winning $150. Congratulations. And in first, we have Brandon. Congratulations to all of you. Thank you for participating. And also, keep spitting. Get out there and shine, please. Please. So as I mentioned earlier, Matt Sedillo, the world famous poet, described as the best political poet in America. He's also been labeled the poet laureate of struggle by academics, poets, journalists alike. He really has appeared all over the world. One of the books that I've been using at Ventura College is one of his most recent books, Mowing Leaves of Grass, published by Flower Song Press. I showed one of his videos today here in Loeño, and the students were like, what? So next up, let's virtually give it up for Matt Sedillo.
Thank you for having me. Congratulations to all the winners. It's been a really wonderful thing to have the opportunity to work with Fernando and with everyone else who was pivotal in putting together this whole event. So I have a forwarded set list to Fernando. So let me pull that up to make sure I'm not just doing what's in my heart, because I want to make sure that we're able to translate this properly. Okay, here we go. This one's called Stolen Lives, Stolen Land. Sundown, Levittown, Fort Apache, Dirty Harry, John Wayne, Blackface, Minuteman, Moynihan, Gone with the Wind, Breaking Bad. Washington Redskin, Confederate flag, the sword, the dollar, the cannon, the scholar, the cavalry, and the Ivy League history is written by lightning as the rising smoke of burning village. The ways and means of victors keep their victims, a frontier thesis and notes on the state of Virginia extraction, expansion, the winning of the West, Lewis and Clark, Smith and Wesson, encircle the wagon, with bloodshed and slave sweat, the crack of the whip. The law of 3/5, the crown republic of King Cotton, the intended failures of Reconstruction, the housing covenants that created great migrations of the saints and Mexicans of poor Mexico. So far from evidence, so close to Monroe Doctrine, to Davy Crockett, to prison industrial complex, a war on drugs is a war on our young. Bloody Christmas, Reefer Madness, 15 to life for 4 ounces, East Oakland, West Baltimore, South La Brea and Oliver North, Plymouth Rock, Jamestown, the Rio Grande. Stolen lives, stolen land. This next poem is called Pilgrim. Some are born in summer homes and palatial groves where pain was only to unfold from the pages of secret gardens the veteran grows, but not I. See, I come from the stock of star-eyed astronauts who greet the night sky with big dreams and wide eyes, always running down the Devil's Highway through occupied America, all the way back to house on Mango Street, and all the books you don't want to read. There's a handball off the back wall of a panaderia born east the river, post Mendez versus Westminster, one generation worth of red lines, and diplomas that were signed with those dreams. In that skin, need not apply. See, I come from struggle. If my story offends you, it's only because you made the mistake of seeking your reflection in my self-portrait. See, this, well, it's not be about you. Because some are born to the common core. Reflected faces grace the pages of documents discovered and age to be explored. World hardships crashed against new shores, New England, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York. For others, pushed off Turtle Island. Aslan, do not call this brown-skinned immigrant. Child of the sun, son of the conquest, Mexicano blood, running through the veins east side of Los Angeles. Do not tell him in native tongue a song will best be sung. Do not tell me who I am, because I was raised just like you. I was educated in some of those very same schools off lessons and legends of honest Indians and Christian pilgrims and a nation of immigrants, all united in freedom. That isn't until they pulled aside my white friend, pointed directly at me and said, Scott, I judge you by the company you keep and you spend your time with this. And that same old story, 1846. The adventures of Uncle Sam, the stick-up man, he wetback. Show me your papers, now give me your labor, the melting pot. It's never made for the hands to clean it. The American dream has always come at the expense of those who tucked it in. You don't know that. You don't teach it. Could write you a book, but you won't read it. So you know what this is about you. In 1492, And the Trinity of Guadalupe and California missions and Arizona schools, these racists that try to race us as their kids in cities that bear our names, that you can learn some days from Ferdinand to Minuteman, from Arpaio to Alamo, from Bobo Wood, so Joaquin the Indian, that lives in me, from Mayo, CH43, try to bury us. They didn't know we were seeds, Canadian minds, they don't strike the banda, Allah, Vizapata, Joaquin Murrieta, Azalitas, Brown Berezi, Zapatistas, from Richard Nixon, they're Napoleon, from Peckinpah to Houston, from Nosa Republic to Christopher Columbus, all the way down to Donald Trump. We didn't cross the borders crossed us. Who you calling immigrant? Pilgrim. That was Pilgrim. Let me. So I'm very honored to be here. I'm very honored to participate in this. I've been working with Fernando for many years now, and it's, it's always rewarding. And I hope we can continue this kind of working relationship. I'm really deeply honored that he's teaching my book. I really appreciate that. Really appreciate that, Fernando. All right, this poem's called La Reina. This poem, like myself, where is it? I can't find it. So there's a hat I always wear when I perform this poem. It says Los Angeles Resiste. But like this poem, it embodies that. It's very LA. All right, here we go. It's called La Reina. Los Angeles full of abuelas raise grandkids in Spanglish under the watchful eye of Cuauhtémoc, the Virgin of Jesus. Make a village out of a duplex, raised Catholic, but the roots are indigenous. Several generations of family extension all growing one plot. Hand-me-downs under shared rules, rooms, and reflections. In la quech, porque mi casa es tu casa, and the semi-promises, that's semi-living. That's palabra. So light a candle. Burn some sage, picture saints that you alter the sign of the cross. The sound of the conch, prayers lift the four directions, that's culture, not contradiction. Folks in the back, they fight for a living. 515 hail from the rowdy section of Dodger Stadium, but their hearts still burn with the fire from that Chavez ravine. And here is home of La Reina. At 54 cents a dollar, America's most exploited worker. Neglected, disrespected, underrepresented, presumed incompetent. If she lives life as expected, she'll be labeled statistic. If she manages to outpace them, threaten, they will blame affirmative action. But either way, they will not see her. They will demand her labor, paid and unpaid, smiling, her eyes humble and her mouth silent. Lay the river. Cities past, present, and future. Queen of angels. Invisible to those who float. Through canyons, lagoons, and cemeteries, whitewashing adobe, through a series of fevered dreams connected by a bridge called her back. Those make demands. So the story is told to bury the past, the ones that serve to remind her that she works for them, that she's lucky to even have a job here in El Pueblo. La Señora La Reina, Los Ángeles, por cinco las letras called La La Land, sent to AIDS with the Pueblo. 18 brickyards, Montebello built one again, only beaten and shot. Only for no Mexicans, no dogs, only for rules, only for schools, only be written out the history of a city we found as we are priced out of the homes of our mothers, and more of greater Los Angeles suddenly discovered this is a struggle of forebears from Propan. Historia eterna, historia siempre, the struggle is real. La lucha sigue, La Reina, Los Ángeles on the front lines of every fight, holding it down, holding the better half of the sky, fighting, education, fighting for education, fighting for tenants' rights, fighting eyes, fighting for dignity, hers and ours, all the damn time. Proud and brown and brown and proud are the hearts and hands, the backbone of these race fists. And we throw two fingers up, we say F Donald Trump. That's not identity politics. That is a cry of the proletariat. Now 54 cents on the dollar. She is the face of it. So when you see her, push the mother stores, lock behind cash, register the third, fourth, fifth, shift to the oppressed, show some respect, bow your head, bend the knee, all hail La Reina, the once and future queen. All right. I'm kind of like I'm pulling down to the next one here because I actually don't know what's coming next. So it's gonna be surprising to me as is to you. All right. Up next we got this poem, The Rich. Here we are. So this is what we call a persona poem. So I don't want anyone getting the wrong idea. I am not rich. Do not hit me up for money. And matter of fact, you can support me, buy my book. All right. So this poem, The Rich, is coming out off the next collection called City on the Second Floor, which should be coming out later this year. So watch out for that one. So here we go. The Rich. The rich, well, they're not like you and me. They see an opportunity, they grab it. Reach for the stars and they put them in their pocket. Company stays in the red, but they're backed by the government. Source public diamonds and lines of pure profit. Research and development. The rich, well, they didn't breed. Champagne wishes and caviar dreams, thoroughbred stallions, quarter-billion mansions on sea, Deepwater horizon, blood diamonds, golden parachute, silicon, messiahs, feasting on endangered species served on silver platters, window palaces called from the tips of icebergs, six-figure charters, vulture capital, million-dollar couple fucking life like an apple insured by suicide nets, lifestyles of the criminally negligent you haven't lived. So you've launched a car into space for no real reason. And that's what I call freedom. The rich, well, here's how it is. Dollars and cents. Trademark and rent. Facts and figures, lines and alleged derivatives and debt, building the future, increasing productivity, union busting back to 100-hour work week, trimming the fat, producing monopolies with real money, shortage and bets. Not my friend. So the rich stay rich while the rest make poor decisions. Pure ecstasy, living in the lap of luxury, pushing pharmaceuticals. The mark of the market will bear your body to its altar at a life or death bargain. The gospel of wealth, because it is what it is, and that's all it's ever been. The less we spend, the more we keep. You see, the rich and the poor, well, they're just like you and me. 2 hands, 2 feet, the sky, the sea, and everything between. One heart that beats in the time to make the most of us. You'll find no sympathy reaching into these deep pockets. All we ever asked was our fair share, and damn it, that's all of us. We are the streets, scream peace and justice. We sleep in satin sheets, dreaming free and guiltless over oceans and tariffs, liquidating pensions enough to bid on porcelain porches at billion-dollar auctions. You didn't need us. You know we're selling your secrets. You know still send us DNA kits, watching the puppets on television, debate freedom, free speech, fascism, democracy, reaching the earth, punch the ozone, and fuel the economy with space stations. Yes, space stations, hydrating the red planet. We're gonna survive this loud bit. So you got pots and pans, we got deeds and plans, chopping down rainforest, colonizing the moon. We're the rich, or you will privatize the water supply, then copyright the tears falling from your eyes. Burn it all down. What are you talking about? The ice caps already melting. You want to start some ish? Eat the rich. We're already killing your kids. One carbon footprint from gas house emission, oil rig, one naval ship, one free trade agreement at a time. We'll get away with it too. Nothing we say or do is ever held against us. Haven't you been paying attention? We're rich. Okay, so this next poem, I'm just burning right through these. This next poem right here is Mowing Leaves of Grass. This is the title poem that comes from here. Now, when I wrote the poem Mowing Leaves of Grass, what I envisioned was writing this poem where Corky Gonzalez was the hero and Walt Whitman was the villain. And the reason for that is because Walt Whitman, hundreds of years ago, wrote in a newspaper that what is miserable, inefficient Mexico with the grand mission of people in the new world, the noble race. Now, he wrote that in support of the Mexican-American War. So when you do that, centuries later, someone like me is born and they write a book called Mowing Leaves of Grass. And that's what happened. This is the title poem, Mowing Leaves of Grass. I'm the as-given vengeance of Albert Valdez, the best laid plans of Modesta, the reckoning of Santa Cruz, San Isidro, Bisbee, Chandler, Porvenir, the blood, sweat, and tears of all that I refuse to forget. I'm that unpaid debt. No sidekick, no subplot, no mascot, no ethnic study. The universe I embody. The ground above me, the sky beneath my feet. March in the skies, las estrellas, a circular calendar, sleep dealing, si quiero, si vera, past the past, the future, and the present. In la catch, all at once, the moment I'm you, you are me, and we. Our 2 clenched fists that still lit fire, sacred kept. The final breath called last fighting Aztec, laughing in the face of death. The blade of El Pachuco, guarding the temple steps, the strength of memory, the promise of tomorrow. Yo soy Chicano, el Chicano soy, donde me lleves? El Chicano voy, they want anything's important. Critical to rehabilitation for the way in which you enter this world. Read Thomas Jefferson, don't get pregnant. Standards and practices. Curriculum and instruction, you the product of public education. Do not interrupt. You'll be like cuffed, face first to pavement like your father, your grandfather, your mother, your Nina, your tia, so learn your lesson. It's not personal. It's all you people. So don't get mad. Don't be hurt. Don't make this political. It's economic. Objective. The law of self-interest, if we let you in, will become the canon, the classics, Alexander, Napoleon, who will shelve the wit and wisdom, Ben Franklin, Shelley, Shakespeare, Chaucer, Walt Whitman, from the Palmanic started was miserable, inefficient Mexico to the grand mission. The new world, the noble race you fought. You lost. You don't get to define this. It's not racism. It's progress. Providence, and God willing, you filthy mongrels, it is just the way it is. Look at you. I see color. I see labor. I see cops and robbers, guards and convicts, institutions, correction schools, local prisons, cage apartments, where the cost of living, the cost of being brown is high as a wage set the rent. Forget your savage tongue, old teachers will bust. American love, spoon feed you, speaks freedom of speech, children joke and speak to authority, show you who you are in a book. You believe it, so said it, now you read it, who you question the canon, the classics, Lowry, Kerouac, walk out on the great white balloons of Garfield, Roosevelt, Lincoln. Now listen, it's important. The universe is a muralist. The cosmos, our self-portrait, Sonic Curandera, Ransante, a poet laureate, a stylist, a mechanic, the barrio dandy cruising the rings of Saturn, the travel tips of Torres, Carrasco, tearing the curtain on Union Station, Joaquin, returning triumphant, marching through halls of Tucson, mowing down leaves of grass. Forget Walt Whitman, this is our Lebeau dedication of Frida, Selena, Cantinflas, Luis Rodriguez, Valdez, Ruana, Sandra, Anzandua, the mighty Quinn, to all that we are and all that we've been through, lifetimes and timelines, galaxies and dimensions of pride, pain and resistance. And Gothic are the solar showers and the days of living music when the people of the sun were dancing to the tune of Valenzuela and Luna was a calavera as the ancestors welcome the future. The circular calendars rhyme you are me, sitting at a desk, looking at the stars, searching for the end till poem never began. It always was, and forever shall be. And my final poem is going to be a poem about a little town I grew up in, and I'm going to do this at a pace that hopefully won't be so hard on the interpreter. Sorry about that. I was born on the east side of Los Angeles, across the tracks from abandoned steel and industrial petrified forest. Across the steps, a giant green tar protected customers and gossipers, our abuelitas, and raised the sun and the bombs of birds. They spoke Spanish, sold mangoes, papayas, and cherries, my favorite. As a child, I could never quite make the connection between the broken empty bottles across the steps and the broken empty men poured out the rust factories from across the tracks. So my cousins and I would gather and throw rocks of dirt aimed directly for the head. And the men would yell back something like, "What do you kids know about life?" And we yelled back, "Take that, drunks." That was messed up. That's how it was, growing up, where Valley climbs up and over Meet Soto. El Sereno, in the 1950s, my mother's father, technician by trade, by birth, a prince among men. And a backwards king that held him back, that treated him different for the radiance of his unapologetic brown skin, raised a family of 6 on a single income. There's hard fought genius in me, older than my mother's womb. December 18th, 1981, after months of fear and absence, my father makes his return. My aunt moved to the hospital bed. She does not want to see you. You know what you did. It'd be best for everyone if you were just to leave. My mother holds a newborn, her only begotten son. There's a pain in me, older than my father's blood. As a child, I can never quite make the connection between his fingers around my throat and the anguish in his chest, a suffering older than my father's bones. His father's whiskey, grandfather's short temper, long-lived legacy to a time history does not care to remember, because beatings on a fit for scrapbooks and genealogy of shame rarely make their way to the oral tradition of campfire. There's a burning in my heart that time cannot trace. Without for my fathers, the suburbs treat me different. One day in the workforce, I told my boss, last night I met a woman, beautiful and intelligent. Asked, we're at Boyle Heights. Where's that? The east side of Los Angeles. Asks, incredulous, you met an intelligent woman in East Los Angeles? I'm gonna slap the cavalry from the smirk. Beat the manifest destiny out of his name badge, but needing a paycheck. I stood in the weakness of silence, the pain and anguish of generations long past, alive and sickened in my chest. There is a shame tempted upon us, older than the tongues of bigots. Walked off job, marched off lot, fist up for the cause, because in a world that has told us no, that has told us different, I've chosen yes. Yes, I'm Chicano. Yes, Mexicano. Yes, indigenous, that brown skin and bleed red. Yes, unafraid and unashamed, my passion, my potential, my intelligence. Yes, the fire in my chest. Look into my eyes, you could feel its strength. And yes, as a matter of fact, some of the most radiant, gifted, talented, beautiful, intelligent women I have ever met reside on the east side of Los Angeles, just across the steps from the streets where I was born. Yes, I am all of this and more. I, like you, made of stars. You, like me, so full of pain, are brimming with genius. Listen to no one who would make you feel different.
Woo! I was gonna do a grita, but I can't. It would go viral. It would be bad. Oh man, you know, you're phenomenal.
Thank you.
I appreciate having you here. I really do. I'm I'm honored to be amidst all the poets here today, and you too, specifically. Like you're very inspirational to so many, and I think that's why your book is being taught in just about every university in every different county at this point. You really are a powerful voice for people that haven't been heard for so long.
Well, I really appreciate that, Fernando. And I'm grateful to be here as well, and amongst all the young poets and the up and coming poets, and you as well. So,
Thank you.
Do we want to, like, is it like Q&A, or I mean,
Yeah, I don't know if the Q&A is open. Let's see. I see a Q&A box at the bottom, but I think we can do that. If anybody has any questions, it is open. Q&A is open. So if you have any questions for Matt or really anybody on the panel, please post them up now. So you're working on your new book, and you did The Rich. It's a masterpiece. The first time I heard it, I was like, what? The car in space. Oh my, what the, it's phenomenal. That poem is phenomenal. And I know the rest of the book's going to be phenomenal as well too. Here's a question now. Let me see what popped up here. I'm ordering your book and I want more. It was just a statement. It was just a statement for sure. I think 2 semesters ago we had, I'm looking, already answered. Okay, yeah. 2 semesters ago, oh my gosh, my brain went blank. Ever since he didn't want to do a blurb for my new book, I forgot his name, but he's gonna. Thank you. Yeah. It's a terrible but honest thing to say. Okay, so
it's a terrible honest thing to say. It's terribly honest. It's honestly that's terribly honest and honestly terrible. Can't believe you.
I'm gonna catch him. Watch. I'm gonna catch him over there in Texas when he does that reading. but I will say, like, it would be. I see so many novels as one book, and I would love to see some poetry books as the one books for campuses, and yours would definitely have to be considered.
Yeah. Well, I would love that. If let's Jessica, PCC did that, so there's some precedent.
There you go.
Pasadena Community College made Jessica Salgado's. I don't know. It was one of the three books. I don't know which one. They had fruit on the cover, so it's kind of.
It's fantastic. Yeah, we have these workshops every year at Ventura College, and so many amazing poets come out of these workshops, and there were other students that participated in your workshop that submitted their work, and their work was also very well received by there's another question here, by the youth that I've been working with lately. It says, could you tell us a bit about your writing process? Do you keep a regular schedule? Do you binge watch anything?
Do I keep a regular schedule? I try to write about 2 hours. Or at least look at doing something for 2 hours, an hour. I'll just redo lines. But I have a whole system. Once I really have the idea down in play, where I look at a topic, detail, and my point on one side, and I look on the other side, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. So what I'm really doing here is I'm setting my up. Okay, so I have an idea. I want to write about this. Okay, so what is my topic? Let's say I want to write about, I don't know, I want to write about plastics destroying the environment. Okay, so I'm gonna write that. What are my details? Okay, well, I'll write about the history of plastic. I'll write about the evidence that the plastic is, like the islands of plastic in the sea. I'm write about all the different things that are made of plastic that you think about. And then my point will be like, we need to stop using so much plastic. Okay. So in the Act 1, I'll start about, here comes plastic, and it's so good. It changes the world and makes everything so much more convenient. So it's gonna be the rosy dawn of plastic, right? And then the second two be like, oh no, wait a minute, there's a problem with plastic, right? And it's gonna escalate, and that's gonna be Act 2, like, oh no, there's too much plastic and there's too much waste. Oh my God, what's gonna happen? We're destroying the earth. And then and then at the end, it'll be like a call to arms, like, we need to stop using these plastics. We need to go back to something else. I don't know. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I would do that because I really hate those paper straws. It just seems counterintuitive. I'm just like, maybe we just need to let go of straws altogether. I don't know about these paper straws, but but I wouldn't put that in the poem because that would distract from the energy and flow of what I was doing.
Exactly.
I would write a separate poem about paper straws.
Because you're considering your audience. You're keeping your audience, and you know that.
Well, I'm not just considering. I'm considering the tone. I'm considering the poem itself, the piece itself, the integrity of the piece, right? So if you have like too many separate kind of like things, well, maybe they don't belong together. Maybe that's a separate piece altogether. If it's distracting from the energy that you're bringing, right? Because it's not just about your content; it's about your energy. It's about your juxtaposition. It's about how you pair things up. So you may have a really good idea, and then as you're writing, you have another really good idea, but they don't really match well. Well, just take them apart, put them somewhere else. Like scrapyard. Scrap it. Put it in like scrapyard. Use it later for someone else.
Yeah, it's true. Extract the gems. Yeah, so it's really because you can create whole other poems from those pieces that might have distracted an audience. So yeah, that's cool. Just checking out there again. Any other questions? So Matt, you just came from a performance?
Yeah, I was just in New York.
Flew in from New York. Your arms must be tired.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, you got two computers just in case. Okay, so another question that came through is, who are you reading right now? My answer would be, I'm reading myself because I'm writing and I got to edit my work. But who are you reading right now?
The same. And I would actually encourage people that once they here's my big tip for writers, and it's pretty straightforward. You have to develop a style, and then turn that style into discipline, and then turn that discipline to a standard of excellence that you hold yourself to every time. Because once you do that, you will become the world's leading expert as to why you are excellent. And then at that point, no one can ever discredit you, and you'll never be seeking anyone's validation. I mean, you'll appreciate people's complimenting you, but you will know why better than anyone else, why you're great. So be excellent, be unique, be prolific. Become a student of your own mind. Become a student of your own tendencies. Become a student of your best impulses. So you can move the production of your genius, your particular unique genius, from your subconscious to your conscious mind.
Taking the spirit and turn it into reality.
Yeah.
So another question that comes through is, can you say a little bit about poets who inspire you or
Right.
who you reject and work against?
Sure. But I mean, like, but as far as like, who do I recommend you read? I mean, who do I recommend people read? Who do I really like right now? Well, I love Fernando. I mean, he's a great poet. Fernando's a great poet. So check out the work of Fernando Salinas. Someone I'm working a lot with right now that I'm very lucky that will work with me, I guess, is a gentleman by the name of Tongo Eason Martin, who's recently, I think he made the Poet Laureate of San Francisco. He's a good friend of mine, and we're going to do some projects together. He's an incredible poet, very different than what I do. So I don't feel at the least bit intimidated because it's different. It's very surreal. It's like a surrealist conversation. Like imagine your dreams having conversations with each other and then getting in arguments with each other. That's kind of like what his poetry's like. So it's really great. I really enjoy that a lot. But most of my poetry is really not inspired by other poets. And if I'm being frank, most of my poetry is actually inspired by the rhythm of political speeches. So when people ask me like, who's your biggest influence? And I say something like Hugo Chavez, they think I'm just being cute. They think I'm being like, like I'm being facetious. I'm not. No, I'm really seriously. I build up in the same kind of crescendos as do political speakers. Like many people might be too young to remember, but I actually steal a lot of my style from Howard Dean. And he was like, we're going to Nebraska, we're going to Arkansas, yeah, right? But what made Howard Dean weak, what laid him low, has only made me strong, right? But that kind of cadence of political speechifying, the kind of cadence of rising action, falling where you mock your enemies, where you're like, and you think this, right? So that is actually where, and I stylize it more so it becomes poetry, but that is actually where my style comes from. But who inspires me? I mean, I'm inspired by political type poets. I mean, I when I got started, I actually had the real big honor of becoming friends with Jack Hirschman, who was the poet Laureate of San Francisco at the time, And he opened the door that I actually got to do a show with Amiri Baraka before he passed. And so it was actually just the two of us. It wasn't even like a whole lineup. It was just me, Matt Sedillo, and Amiri Baraka. And I'd only been doing poetry at that point for maybe 3 years.
Wow.
So that kind of, a lot of doors were open for me like really quickly. So that was really a big thing. Luis Rodriguez is another person who kind of took a liking to me early on and opened up a lot of doors for me. So I've been really honored to have had the opportunity to work with Luis a lot. Urea has actually offered me a lot of advice and opened some doors for me and made some connections, helped me out. So there's a number of writers that have been, huge supporters and help, and there's a poet named David Romero, who's my really, really good friend and kind of a road dog, and we've helped each other all throughout the years, helping booking gigs and giving each other leads and stuff like that. He's got a book out called My Name is Romero, so it's pretty good. I mean, it's a really great collection, and you should check that out. Also from Flower Song. So
You made a comment there that I don't know how many people understand, but when we're invited by an established poet to a reading to feature with them, it really does help us up the ladder a lot. And so many poets, whether they're young or old or whatever, when they're invited to feature with another established poet, it really does make a huge difference in how quickly they can be recognized by other people. And so that's the names you've mentioned are phenomenal poets. So that's pretty cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, no, it's been incredible people done incredible things for me. So I'm very, very grateful. I don't mean to come off bragging. I mean, it's not me. It's really just a reflection of them, that to say this person said something nice about me and that means something just tells you how great they are, right? Not how great I am, but but I am pretty great. So you should buy my book. I'm pretty good.
Old school poets that may have inspired you.
Old school meaning from the 50s, 70s, or 80s poets. Well, I mean, I mentioned earlier Luis Rodriguez, but I don't know, like I did a show up in the Bay, and this guy came up to me and he gave me this like crazy intense like eye lock, and he was telling me that he started comparing me like Ginsberg and stuff like that, and so that was pretty wild. So yeah, I mean, like old school poets like Ginsberg, I don't know, like it's weird. I don't know. I mean, I don't really know how much, I kind of just do my own thing. I do my own thing, have my own style, have my own kind of way of doing things. And I know what I'm after. Now, are there poets that I really admire? Of course. In the course of releasing this book, I've had reviews of the book, comparing me to Amiri Baraka, comparing me to Raul Salinas, comparing me to Bertolt Brecht, comparing me to Roque Dalton, comparing me to all kinds of people, Audre Lorde. So of course it's a huge compliment. What am I gonna say about that? Whoa, And so I really appreciate it. So I admire all those people, and I have a huge, affinity for those people. So, the book's been really successful. It's weird to talk about though, because like the book is, my work is my work, right? I work really hard on it, spend a lot of hours on it, a lot of devoted attention, really a lot of intense focus. Right. So when people say all these great things about me, they're not really talking about me. They're talking about the work. And I agree with them about the work. But me and myself, whatever. I'm some guy, I'm some guy on Zoom, So, yeah, I'm inspired by all those people. And I'm deeply, deeply honored that it's starting to happen, that my career, whatever you want to call it, is gotten to the point where it's drawing comparisons, and it's the reputation is growing. So
Oh gosh, I had something, but I was listening so intensely I may have forgotten what I was going to say. Oh, I do know. So there was a tendency when at the birth of slam, people were saying, oh, it's just screaming, it's just performance, there's no content. But anybody who reads your work should be able to recognize that you've spent a significant amount of time on each poem doing the research in order to craft the poem as cleanly as it is. Can you speak to how much research you do for all the names, all the locations, all the court cases, all of the dates, everything? Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, of course. Well, so again, like I have a 3 act structure, right? So like in the case of like let's say La Reina, right? It's like in the beginning, I'm gonna build up this like this town and build up this life in the city, and then I'm going to show you the problems, and then I'm going to show you the triumph, and the triumph's going to come out of the beauty, right? So it's like the pride, the pain, the triumph. So that was what I was going to do with La Reina. Same thing with Mowing These Grass, and a few others. And so I know what's going to happen here. So I understand it structurally. Then I'm like, okay, now I need to fill this with a certain amount of information. I need to fill this with like these things. So I know what I already know, and then I have to go in and like look and find some more. So for the rich, for instance, the rich has a 3 act structure. The rich's first part is lifestyles, the rich and famous. It's so fun to be rich. The next part is like, okay, here's how money's actually made. And the last part is, okay, the rich are sociopaths, and they're going to leave us to die on a withering planet as they colonize Mars and the moon. And that's how the poem's going to end. So I know that ahead of time. So I know, okay, I'm like, okay, so what examples do I want to use? Okay, I'm going to use Jeff Bezos, and I'm going to use Elon Musk, and I'm going to talk about um, uh, Steve Jobs. So I like do all this research, all these lines that don't end up in the poem, all this kind of information that's totally useless, to end up with like Jeff Bezos eating an iguana, and going to this ice hotel, a hotel made of ice, right? So that's really like feasting on endangered species and silver platters. And Winter Palace is carved from the tips of icebergs, right? So well, that's in reference to him eating iguana and going to ice hotels. And I talk about launching a car into space for no reason. Well, that's Elon Musk launching SpaceX and launching a car into space. You know, like this guy. You know, if you threw a can of Coca-Cola at your car and the cop sees you, you're getting arrested. This guy's throwing cars into space, and we think it's so cool. So this is not a good way to organize your society. But that was just anyways. And then Steve Jobs. I did a lot of research on Steve Jobs, and all I really get down with okay, well this is all these people working on his phones committing suicide. So plucking life like an apple insured by suicide nets, lifestyles of the criminally negligent. So that's where I did all this research to end up with like 3 or 4 lines. The Gospel of Wealth is a reference to a book by Andrew Carnegie, a book called The Gospel of Wealth. So it's like the Gospel of Wealth. I had some conversations with people I knew who were pretty rich, and they talked about how flying on six-figure charters. They also told me about the like having timeshares or not timeshares, having condos all over the world. All this like really interesting stuff that I didn't get to use in the poem, but I'll probably use somewhere else. I had interesting conversations with a journalist named Greg Palast about what he called vulture capital, and I didn't get to use any of that either. I just ended up with the phrase vulture capital. So I did a lot of research, and I only end up with like a small fraction of it because it's not really important to get everything I know in one poem. It's important that the poem artistic integrity is maintained while also delivering a lot of interesting information.
Yeah, it's funny. Teaching this week, I had a student named Best who talked about he watched a documentary where they cut off the fins of sharks and they use them as and like why would they do that? Well, because only the rich can afford to do that, but they throw the sharks back in. And then I have another student. We watched The Devil, one of your video poems, and he said, "Who's that guy playing ping pong?" I said, "I think that was Warren Buffett." And so we checked real quick. His net worth is 107 billion. And he goes, "Wait a minute, there's only 7 billion people in the world." This is perfecto. He said this. He said, he could give everybody $1 billion and still have a bunch of money left over. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the thing about that, the other guy playing ping pong is Bill Gates.
Oh, wow.
Bill Gates and Warren Buffett playing ping pong together.
That's fantastic.
Well, I got good news for you. I got good news for Fernando. I'm actually I'm going to probably collaborate with the people that made that video to make another video for the rich.
Oh, that's going to be fantastic.
It's the same poem. So
fantastic.
Let's twist again like we did last summer.
All right. Well, I don't see any other questions coming up. I know we're about 10 minutes over our segment, but I have to tell you, this has been the highlight of my year. Really phenomenal to have you here and all the other participants, the finalists, Vincent, Brandon, Tawan. You're all stars.
The final word on my, obviously you're gonna have the final word, but I just wanted to just again thank you, and thank you for working with me. So because I know I kind of had this double thing going on, so I really appreciate, you know, the flexibility, and it's been a real great honor to work with some of the poets that I got a chance to, and also to just Ventura College in general. So I want to thank you again for this opportunity.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Unless anybody else wants from the panel wants to jump in and comment or close us out, then Gigi, I see you unmuting. There you are.
Just want to say thank you to everyone involved. This was a lot of work. Fernando and Matt had workshops, weekly workshops all through March. And I want to thank the students for sharing their talents and their visions, and everyone for supporting the festival yet once again. So thank you, everybody. Thanks for everyone's efforts. I appreciate it. Interpreters, captioners, everybody that worked hard on this event this week. Very, very grateful, very humbled to work all with you. Thank you.
Gigi, my hat's off to you. My hat's off to Rock and Peter. You guys, there were so many people behind the scenes making this happen, and I think we're all going to go take a nap now.
Absolutely, yes. Our thanks to Rock, very much so. Thank you.
Rock made it work. Without Rock, this wouldn't happen. None of this would happen. So big gratitude to Rock.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. I feel refreshed. It's time to.
If the 3 student poets could stay on just for a second afterwards, that would be super helpful. Everyone else can kind of take off, and we'll stop.